Hello friends, this video on improvement in food resources part 15 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So with this, we end our discussion on fish production. Let us start with the last topic of this lesson, that is beekeeping. What is beekeeping, or why do we keep bee? Because we obtain honey. So the purpose is honey here, and that is why these bees are also known as honey bee. So this involves very less investments, because you don't really need to invest much, but you get a good income, because when you actually start selling that honey, you earn well, but there is not much investments involved in this, right? So now one interesting thing which we will learn here is, how do bees make honey? We all know that honeybees stay in their hive and we obtain honey from there. But how do bees actually make honey? So let us see, how do bees make honey? All of us would have often seen that bees keep hovering around flowers. So what do they want from flowers? So they basically take two things from flowers. One is nectar and the other one is pollen. So a bee gets two things from flowers. One is nectar and the other one is pollen. And this nectar is the one which actually helps in honey production. So this nectar results in the formation of honey. So what happens is that when the bee sits on a flower, it takes nectar from the flower. Now the nectar is stored in a special stomach inside the body of the bee. Even though the bee looks so small, but even inside the body of the bee, they have got two stomachs. One is the normal digestive stomach, which is used for their own digestion, and the other one is a special stomach. That special stomach is used for storage of nectar. So that means inside the bee body, you have one digestive stomach and you have another special stomach. So in this special stomach is stored the nectar. So now what happens? The digestive stomach and the special stomach, they are however connected with the help of a valve. So there is a valve kind of a thing. You can imagine it like a door. There is a door between digestive stomach and special stomach. So normally the door remains closed. But in case of emergency, let us suppose the bee is extremely hungry. There is nothing in its digestive stomach. In that case, what will happen? That valve opens, that door opens, and the nectar which is stored in the special stomach will come to its digestive stomach. And it will feed upon that nectar. So that means the bee will use the nectar which is stored in the special stomach only during emergencies, right? Otherwise, it will not use it. So the nectar will keep on getting stored in the special stomach. Now it is not that a bee visits only one flower at a time. Now once a bee comes to the field means once the bee starts from its hive. So it goes to multiple flowers. So it goes to every flower and sucks nectar from it and stores it in its special stomach. Now when it has visited enough flowers and her special stomach is full with nectar, so now when the special stomach is full, the weight of the special stomach becomes almost equal to the weight of the bee itself. So now it cannot carry any more weight. So it does not go to any flower further and it goes back to its hive, right? Now when it goes back to its hive, it is greeted by all other bees which are already present in the hive, because they see that, okay, this bee has come with its stomach full of nectar. So what will happen? The other bees will greet this bee and mouth to mouth transfer of the nectar will take place. That means, let us suppose if this was the field bee. So sometimes this is also referred to as field bee, because this was the field which came out for work outside. So it is the field bee, and these bees which are present in the hive, they are known as recipient bee. So this is the field bee and these are the recipient bees. So they will greet this bee when it goes back to the hive. These bees will greet the bee and there will be mouth to mouth transfer. So from the mouth of this bee, it will get transferred to the mouth of the recipient bee. Right? So what will get transferred? Nectar. So that means nectar transfer mouth to mouth. From which bee? From the field bee to the recipient bee. Right? So now the recipient bee has the nectar. So what the recipient bee will do? The recipient bee will process the honey by enzymes. Now, the nectar will have all complex sugars. What is nectar? Nectar is nothing but it is composed of complex sugars. So these recipient bee, what they will do? They will process the nectar. With the help of enzymes, they will break the complex sugars of nectar into simple sugars. So they will convert complex sugars of nectar into simple sugars. Right? So these simple sugar which is then formed is nothing but this forms honey. So, but honey is very viscous, but initially this nectar is watery. It is not that viscous. But gradually by the process of evaporation, the watery nectar gets converted into a viscous liquid that is known as honey. Now, how the evaporation process takes place? The evaporation happens because of the high temperature which is maintained in the hive. So the recipient bees ensure that a high temperature is maintained in the hive so that the evaporation process can take place and the watery nectar can get converted into a viscous honey. So what we can say is, so the last step is watery nectar gets converted to viscous honey. How? By evaporation. Right? So what was the entire procedure? The bee comes to the flower, it sucks nectar and pollen. Correct? Now it has two stomachs, one is digestive stomach, one is special stomach. So it stores the nectar in the special stomach. Now it keeps visiting all the flowers till its special stomach is full of nectar. When the special stomach is completely full, it goes back to the hive. There it is greeted by the recipient bees and the nectar is transferred mouth to mouth from the field bee to the recipient bee. These recipient bees then convert the complex sugars of the nectars into simple sugars. So these simple sugars nectar is a watery nectar now. These watery nectar in due course of time by evaporation due to the high temperature which is maintained in the hive gets converted into the viscous honey. Right? So I hope it was interesting to know how do bees make honey. Okay. So now let us again get back to beekeeping. So how do this beekeeping is done? Now it is observed that Italian bees have high honey collection capacity. So therefore Italian bees are generally used for producing honey. An Italian variety called A. mellifera has been brought to increase the yield of honey. So even amongst the Italian varieties, this one variety gives even higher production of honey. So these variety is also used these days. For commercial honey production, bee farms or apiaries are established. So the way we have cattle farms, the way we have poultry farms, similarly these days for commercial honey production, bee farms have been established where you have so many beehives. Value or quality of honey depends upon the pasturage or flowers available for nectar and pollen collection. So again, what is the price of the honey or how is the quality of the honey? That again depends on so many factors. That not only depends upon the bee, that also depends upon the flowers, that also depends upon the evaporation process, the conditions which are present in that beehive. So there are many other, these all together will contribute to the quality of the honey and the value of the honey. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.